called hidden because when you get up there especially, you'll see how small the opening is, and that's even larger than when they found it. It was found by school children, as the legend goes. They were looking for gold that was from a stage robbery, but they were out looking for it. Found the cave, then kind of forgot where it was again, and it was rediscovered later by people who were going through here, the wheelers, and the wheelers had been going through the area kind of to see what was in these caves, because the farmers from the valley were coming in here to mine guano. The importance of Hidden Cave is that its record was very well preserved because it was so hidden. It was very undisturbed by outside elements. It had been out of use and truly hidden for probably hundreds of years, maybe 800 years or so at least. You'll see tufa, calcium carbonate, meaning the whole cave was underwater at various times. When it was used by humans, it was, yeah, the water was receding. What you see below you here would have probably been very marshy at that time, especially when you go to Grime's Point and you see where, you know, the boulders that are that have the petroglyphs on them. There's kind of a shoreline that you can infer, that if you have an imagination, you can see where the water, there is definitely residing or residual of Lake Lahontan. You know, there were more marshes here and stuff for the humans to use, but it kept going away, and that's probably why it went out of use as well. It was used for a diurnal shelter, which is the fancy way of saying you only use it in the daytime. It was used as a burial. They did discover bodies, and actually most of the artifacts are down on this side where they're lighted up and still so many in context. Those were removed and actually have been since repatriated to the tribe. And then lastly, it's a logistics center, and that's where you see everything is still in place. In the 70s, 78, 79, they're here excavating, but they really didn't involve the tribe. They didn't involve them. And David Hurst Thomas, he points out in that video, it says if anything ever happens again, there will be a strong tribal component. What's amazing about Great Basin culture too is on the surface it does appear very simple, but when you start getting into it, it is extremely complex. I mean, it doesn't change, especially in the Great Basin, because if you try, you can't innovate. If it works, you keep it and you teach it to your children. Their adaptations on the surface are simple, but it's a very complicated society to maintain what they've done for thousands of years. They were existing here, living here, would have had village sites all along here, and Grime's Point would have continued to be used. Some of that would have actually potentially been ancient to them as well, to some degree. Even as the people moved away from here, as the water moved away, as Hidden Cave was not used anymore, and a number of these other caves probably weren't either. Certainly, you know, the shelters probably would have been continued, but not for cache pits, not for logistics, nothing like that. They still understood this was a sacred place to them, and that it had that, again, that history, you know, that it's ancient to them, but they're tied to it.